electronic, archaeotronic, harmonic, ionic, bionic, atomic. It will astonish you, it's magical and casual, actual but classical, practical and factual. Archaeotronic, harmonic.
So here we are again, and I think it falls to me today to talk about something that it seems to be extremely unpopular with the American media, and that is why everyone is so terrified of auditing the Fed. Now, for decades, the Fed has gone along its course determining monetary policy and producing trillions upon trillions of printed American dollars and imaginary computerized American dollars with no audit in sight. Well, not a proper audit anyway. There was a kind of almost audit once, but it wasn't allowed to look at so many things that it wasn't really an audit at all. So what is the problem? And I'm going to be brave enough to suggest that the problem is 9/11. What happened the last time that there was a major audit on a US government body? That body was the military. It was the Pentagon. And there is a very famous section of video, and I'm going to include some video on the end of this little homily from me, that basically said that there were $2.3 trillion unaccounted for, which is 25% of the Pentagon's budget that they couldn't account for. And this was pointed out by no less a person than Donald Rumsfeld. And this was the day before 9/11. Then obviously 9/11 happened, and nobody, but nobody in the mainstream media ever mentioned this $2.3 trillion ever again. Now, an American general, Stubblebine, he actually produced a video, and I'll include a short clip of that as well. And what really opened his eyes was when he saw the damage to the Pentagon. Now, if you look at the pictures of the damage to the Pentagon, it was extremely targeted, and it hit precisely that area of the Pentagon where the audit was carried out and where all the figures were stored. So after this, what Stubblebine reckons was a missile strike, after that, what happens? Silence. All the evidence is neatly destroyed, along with an awful lot of the people who knew the exact results of that audit. And this is rather like the mafia coming round and terminating all your family. The message couldn't really be clearer. The message from the people behind this is, mess with us and we will do things to you that you cannot even imagine. So what would happen? Let's say, for example, if the Fed were audited and were found wanting, as they will be. I'm very, very sure of this, because I've never seen an organisation, let alone a quasi-government organisation. Okay, it's really a privately owned bank, but it does have some governmental responsibilities. I've never seen an organisation like that so concerned with protecting its own security and secrecy. I mean, surely everything they do because it's in the public interest, supposedly, should be transparent to the public. And a bill has been passed, meaning that the Fed will have to be audited, but nobody seems actually to want to do it. Well, there's no surprise there, given what I've just said, really. And you look at Janet Yellen, I mean, she is very against this business of auditing, and I've never seen such a weird woman in my life. I mean, is it just me, or is she like some kind of robotically controlled alien from the planet Zog? I mean, this woman is just plain weird. And I'll include a short segment of her talking about, I don't want to be audited. So, what would actually happen? Well, they'd have to do something to take your mind off it, just the same way as they took your mind off the Pentagon's $2.3 trillion. How about a nice nuclear war? That would probably do it. Anyhow, let's go and have a look.
Pentagon. The day before 9/11, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld declared war, not on foreign terrorists.
The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
He said money wasted by the military poses a serious threat.
In fact, it could be said that it's a matter of life and death.
Rumsfeld promised change. Others admit the military cannot account for 25% of what it already spends.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T. That's $8,000 for every man, woman, and child in America. To one.
4 planes change America and the world forever. 19 men, armed with box-cutter knives, strike a stunning blow against the mightiest superpower on the planet.
To me, what does the picture say? Picture says that what we heard and were told in the newspapers, the media, was not the real story. If there's enough doubt in the official story, where the stories are absolutely not consistent with what happened, that they paint a different picture than the one that was given to the media, how easy is it for you to shift your belief system from I totally believe in my government, to oh my God, what's going on? And that's exactly where I went. Albert Newton Stubblebine III, U.S. Army retired, and I spent 32 years in the military, and ended up as a Major General. And my last assignment, I was responsible for all of the Army's strategic intelligence forces around the world.
Is, Mr. Chairman, whose responsibility is it under the Constitution to manage monetary policy? Which branch of government has the absolute authority to manage monetary policy?
The Congress has the authority, and it's delegated to the Federal Reserve. That's a policy decision that you made.
Yeah, but they can't transfer authority. You can't amend the Constitution by just saying we're going to create some secret group of individuals and banks. That's amending the Constitution. You can't do that and all of a sudden allow this to exist in secrecy. And whose responsibility is it for oversight? Which branch of government has the right of oversight?
Congress has the right of oversight, and we certainly fully accept that, and we fully accept the need for transparency and accountability. But it is a well-established fact that an independent central bank will provide better outcomes. If you want to go, there's no constitutional reason why Congress couldn't just take over monetary policy. If you want to do that, I guess that's your right to do it, but I'm advising you that it wouldn't be very good from an economic policy point of view.
Yeah, but if it's allowed to be done in secret, this is the reason why I want to work within the system. What I want to say is Congress ought to get a backbone They ought to say, we deserve to know, we have a right to know, we have an obligation to know, because we have an obligation to defend our currency. It's
for time. Audit the Fed is a bill that would politicize monetary policy, would bring short-term political pressures to bear on the Fed. What I think is really critically important is that the Fed be able to deliberate on the best way to meet the responsibilities that Congress has assigned to us to achieve maximum employment and price stability.